She's got a date at midnight with Nosferatu. Oh, hey, how you doing? It's John. I'm here at the Factory of Terror. It is apparently their 20th year, and they are at, quote, full strength, apparently. It's going to be nice. I didn't come at all last year because they only had A and B nights and only 3 houses each time were, because again, all the COVID stuff and everything. So this is the first time in a couple of years I've been here where they've been having at, full strength, all 5 houses in their, 3-time Guinness Book World Records, like longest haunted house or something along those lines. Anyway, good things with that. They got a little booze food truck thing up there, and some guy who actually kind of looks a little bit like a wrestler. I don't know what his thing is or if he's an actor or what, but cool, whatever. So yeah, I'm here. I got my ticket here on the phone that I'm holding right now. Got my mask ready. Hopefully the same microphone setup as before will work. And we're away to go. I'm excited about this. I really like this place. It's like that. Anyway, so yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. Full strength, everyone kind of really getting involved with it. This is a really cool place. It is kind of far from my house. And if you are coming from in Ohio and you're coming down 77, just know there's a huge chunk that is closed because it's I-77, and it wouldn't be I-77 unless huge parts of it were closed. So just be wary if you're from Ohio and you're coming down for that. Other than that, here we go. I'm excited. I hope you are too. This is going to be fun. All right, so here we go. I am... Oh. Do I got the microphone? Yeah, here it is. All right. Oops. Heading into 1,300 Lost Souls. This is the first one. I don't know if you can see it in there. Big old Pennywise back there. And they really did amp this up. There's a frickin' Cthulhu, which is new. I never saw that before. That actually made me jump like a mother a few minutes ago. This new guy, this is just in the beginning front part. Like, they didn't have this before. If they just did this just for the front, holy crap. Like, yeah, this is gonna be cool. Looking forward to this. Okay, so, yeah, we went right from the 1300 into the industrial one, which is one that I really like. And as much as like the haunted house stuff is cozy, the way that they use the industrial space in the second one is really kind of brilliant. There's this whole space that's kind of maze-ish and has it's like this chain link fence, but they got smoke in it and a bunch of stuff, and the music's kind of loud. Music's been better this year than before. And it gets really discombobulating. It's a fairly straightforward, not even like a maze so much, but it becomes discombobulating. It's like this sort of really kind of extreme experience, and it's really interesting. I like that. So Lafayette 13, number 3 is next behind me here. And there's some of the facades of the houses and everything else like that. There's been a few people who've been pretty funny. Someone who's sort of like acting like they're protecting you from the clowns, which was actually kind of interesting. I haven't really had anyone trying to protect you. Some people might be, a little more sympathetic versus being sort of out to get you. But yeah, just sort of like, oh, we're trying to help you. We're trying to kill the clowns sort of thing. That was kind of interesting. So Lafayette I'm looking forward to, because that again, any sort of voodoo stuff I'm a sucker for. I think that has some of the big cemetery looking spaces. So I'm really looking forward to that. But so far everything's been really cool. Yeah, they really amped it up. It's been exciting to hit everything so far. Instead of just, a couple of them. So it's been really exciting. The stuff like this, it's just cool as hell. Like the whole atmosphere of this place is really cool. And again, the way they use this space, is, especially in that second one, the industrial working part, is really, really well done. And it always sort of is. And it seems like, yeah, we're turning this back up a little bit more than it had been for like the extra stuff, like the halfway to Halloween. So here we go. Okay, a couple of things. Before I forget, just got done with Lafayette, but I do have to say, the restroom situation has improved precipitously, as in there are actually restrooms. Instead of just a bunch of porta potties lined up, there are a couple places with porta potties, but right here, I am all twisted around. That's uncomfortable. Is actually bathrooms. So, okay, yeah. All right, so this is, okay. There's a door there. So yeah, they got psychic reading stuff. Zombie cigars, I guess. That's got to be awkward. So they got the kind of Bourbon Street thing looking on here after Lafayette. And I got to say, Lafayette, awesome. Yeah, it does have that graveyard crypt kind of thing going on through it. And at some places it goes into, you know, sort of southern redneck, yeah, like creepy shack. Not shack as in Shaquille O'Neal, shack as in S-H-A-C-K sort of stuff. And it is, and some of that's all right, but yeah, it was really cool. There were actors in it who did a really good job. Again, not being just always jump scare, but also kind of playing a role or just trying to help set up atmosphere. There were a couple big dudes in there who were full-on voodoo regalia'd out. And that was really, really freaking awesome. Like, they both looked amazing. And I just thought that was super cool. Both of them were really cool. I don't know what's going on here. There's like an animatronic zombie stripper thing behind Elvis. Not 100% sure. Yeah, I guess this is getting down a little bit. All right, so that's 3 down. This has been really fun so far. Yeah, it's really loud kind of party thing going on here. And yeah, that's a little disturbing. They got an animatronic zombie twerker. Tweaker? No, twerker. Maybe tweaker too, who knows? But yeah, definitely like, so far each of the things have been very different. The first one, the 1300, kind of has a little bit more haunted house stuff, a little bit more bigger, creepy sort of things. The industrial thing was exactly what it was. Yeah, like sort of mutant monsters and electrical problems and things created like weird accidents and mutations and stuff. And the Lafayette thing had like, yeah, vampires and crypts and corpses and all that. There were a couple animatronics in there that was really cool, but yeah, there's like this big one that comes out of this Celtic cross, which was awesome. Yeah, some vampire-looking stuff coming around, you know, sort of standing there, blood dripping from them and all that, which is pretty great. And get a little bit more of the ambiance here, which is kind of neat. I like what they did with this. They're, you know, it can't really expand because the building's as big as it is, but they're, you know, making it more of like an experience to kind of hang out and stick around as opposed to just sort of blow through. Especially it's Canton. I mean, there's not, I don't know how the stuff breaks down of who's coming where and when and everything, but it was kind of a trip, I would imagine, for a lot of people. So having it be something where people can hang out with a little bit more is kind of neat. I'm not a drinker. I do not any longer imbibe alcohol, so this part is kind of wasted on me beyond just the ambiance. But I do appreciate that. So yeah, 3 up, 3 awesome. It's been really cool. Maybe not as populated in terms of actors, but again, that makes sense because we're still in COVID era. So not as actor populated, but the music, except for what you're hearing right now, overall has been pretty cool. They've done a really good job with the sort of sensory input. Lafayette does have an extended blackout area, and I think we all know how I feel about that. They did have a couple of actors in there, and there are a couple of places both in the blackout area and afterwards, where you kind of do need to watch your step because it's not sort of solid floor. One part's kind of soft and the other part's sort of a bridge. So you got to be careful with that. But that's just kind of a heads up. And it ends with like a laser swamp thing. Got laser swamp stuff. It's just so they got a little bit of smoke. Lasers at about 4 foot, maybe 4 foot high, maybe a little taller than that. And it kind of gives that like swampy appearance, but it's lasers and like laser swamp, and I love that. It's awesome and it's cool. Always appreciate the laser swamp. Okie dokie. So I'm going to move on. I forget, was it Mayhem on the Mahoning, I think? Massacre on Mahoning. So here we go. In for that. Yeah, here we go. Into the big chamber for Massacre on the Mahoning. Am I going the right way? Fast. No, I'm not. Okay. I'm going to go the right way now. See you in a bit. Okay, that one was cool too. You can't really see me very well. But yeah, that one was cool. That's the one, that fourth one, that Massacre on the Mahoning, so you know, is the one that has this is the last one here. Has the Goliath things out front. And there's a bullseye axe bar here at the end. But that fourth one there, Massacre Mahoning, is the one that has the spider alcove sort of nest. Yeah, so there's this whole area. There's a lot of watching your head and ducking and a whole big long spider motif. So if you're one of those that's freaked out by speeders, that one's going to be a bit rough for you. But it has a mix of sort of kind of cool haunted house, run-down house, and sort of rednecky sort of stuff. So there is a lot of that. But it kind of goes back and forth. But there is also a freaking awesome cemetery part kind of in the middle. Really freaking cool. Hanging bat statue things that move. Creepy, ghouly kind of things and everything. And that cemetery part is probably my favorite bit in it. I think this is only for staff, but that's actually kind of a cool looking hallway just with the red lights in the back. Actually, it's really neat looking. So yeah, that's about all I have for that. Yeah, it's just so you know, the fourth one's the spider one. And it's got some cool stuff, goes back and forth, haunted house, redneck, cool cemetery. Yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say. I just watched someone's walking around with their shirt pulled up. Okay, dude. Not a good look. All right, anyway, so yeah, I'm going on to the fifth and final house here. It is the House of Nightmares. This one's pretty cool too, so. All right, oh, now you can see them. It's cool. All right, here we go. Oops. Drop the microphone. Always a good professional thing to do. All right, so I forgot to say, actually, there's a couple of them. Let me do this. There we go. Okay. So there are a couple of them that have the spinny tunnels. So, you know, I think house 1 and 4 do. I won't tell you my little trick to get through those because that's my little trick for it. You can find your own. So, House of Nightmares was neat. A couple places, again, just kind of watch your step a little bit. Little slippy, slidey things coming up, coming down. A couple things with that. All of them had a lot of the sort of knee, hip height, air cannon sort of things. So if those things are kind of like, you don't like those as much, there's a lot of them. Fortunately, I think one of the big boons of COVID-era haunted house stuff, it's got to be said, is the removal of the big airbag things that you have to sort of squeeze through like a sphincter for like an entire hallway or whatever. I hated those before. They always made me feel grungy and nasty and gross, knowing that there's, hundreds or more people have been through them. Never like them. Always creeped me out. Always the sort of thing. And now that they can't really be there, it's a little bit better. The last one, House of Nightmares, had some cool stuff. There's one place where like the hallway, like the walls were kind of shifting, which I thought was a neat little effect that they didn't have in other things. This one also, there's a couple of the houses in general seemed to not just sort of add things for sort of effect, but seemed to have actually had things change. As in, like rooms put in, rooms kind of changed, rooms set up a little bit differently. Not just, there's a wall that is now at the very, very beginning. And the very, very beginning, there's a wall that wasn't there before. There's a sort of gas mask with a sign over it at the sort of head of the line that wasn't there before. And again, the restrooms are a boon, and those weren't really there before. If they were, they weren't for customer use or something like that. I don't know, maybe just renovated or something. I don't know if they put them in last year or they were renovated from last year to this year. I'm not entirely sure. Again, because when I went for the halfway to Halloween, there wasn't everything open and around. So did see someone who recognized me. Shout out to them. Thank you very much. I appreciate you just sort of letting me know you watch stuff and sort of identifying yourselves and everything. Thank you very kindly. Appreciate you. But the rest of the rest of sort of House of Nightmares or House of Nightmares, something like that. Blanking now is it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot of the house tropes that are kind of showing up in some of the other things. Slightly different. There was one part that almost seemed like, I don't know if it was supposed to be like an outside part or something like that, but there wasn't any music involved in there. You could hear stuff from before and after a little bit, but it was just sort of, you walked, kind of wove through this one part of a hallway, and it had kind of those like Gothic arch things and some like ivy kind of stuff put on it, but it was a little quieter and a little nicer, and it was like this, I know it might sound weird, but it was like this pocket of just very peaceful little part that I think did a very good job in playing around with the sort of feeling of everything. As I kind of like, again, I'm a big atmosphere guy. So when you manipulate, and that word usually has really bad connotations. I don't mean it in a bad way. Manipulate is an actively trying to work and change and everything else like that. When you actively sort of manipulate the environment and the atmosphere of it in such a way where so many parts of this are maybe overwhelming, discombobulating, because you kind of, the Hall of Mirrors and the other space in the industrial thing kind of messing with your senses. And there's a lot of parts that can leave you really overwhelmed, and to have parts that are just sort of, they're not blackout parts. And I understand that once in a while, little small stretches of blackout things are good in order to, again, manipulate and play with the atmosphere. I get it. But this one shows that there are other ways to do that as well. You still have set pieces. They still have atmosphere, still a little creepy for some. But just sort of a quiet little spot. And you kind of went through it, and it was a little bit different. It was very nice. And I don't know if that's what they were going for. I don't know if it was, we kind of ran out of something to do or something wasn't working right. I'm not entirely sure. I kind of hope that they were going for, no, we're just going to leave this quiet and peaceful. So you kind of, again, playing around with the atmosphere, playing around with how you are feeling with it. I enjoyed that. So again, and there were some people, again, had characters, had weird, stuff that they were trying to do. Worked for me or not is almost almost seems a little inconsequential, because I enjoyed the fact that it was different stuff, that it was people playing with characters, playing with the atmosphere, joking around a little bit, hey, we'll keep you in, was it for IT or something like that, the one guy said. I forget exactly what he said. It was kind of hard to hear. But again, I just, even if some of the stuff didn't work for me personally, and a lot of it did, or at the very least was fun, and that's really what the I don't know why hold on. I need tea. I made tea for my way back, and I need some of it now. Yes, tea. Not like I haven't had like a gallon of tea today. But it's me, so what do you expect? So, yeah, I think overall, so the last one, fun. Again, watch your step in a few places. And they do spit you out as sort of this big, empty, again, industrial space. And you kind of can't go through all the way. You have to go through the gift shop a little bit. Now, it's different than before. Before, it was just sort of like a booth kind of set up off to the side. This is actually more of a shop. They have more Factory of Terror stuff, it seems. A extended line of shirts with different stuff on it. That's one or two things, but a lot of different stuff on it. They had some things that are a little bit more officially licensed. There was a display set up with different franchise lunch boxes, which were kind of neat, and ornaments and other things like that. So they expanded that, and the doorway to get out back into the parking lot is through the gift shop. So learning from the Cedar Points and Disney Worlds of the world, good on you, Factory of Terror. Cannot fault you at all for that. So, it looks like since I was here in 2019, and even since the halfway to Halloween in the spring, it seems like they've done a lot to, not necessarily, I can't really say expand, but I guess I can't think of the word I'm looking for. They've done a lot to really make more of the space, I guess. There's a word I'm looking for, and hopefully I'll think of it. So, again, setting up the entrance, not only the very first entrance, but, outside of the line when you start getting to the first one. Changing that. Changing the sort of monster displays that you can take pictures with or get everything together in the very front part. Major changes with that since 2019, and even again since the halfway to Halloween. So they've done a lot of work. Yeah, some of that wall stuff and everything wasn't there for the halfway to Halloween. I don't remember. I don't think so. So they've done a lot of work with that. Some of the houses had, you could tell some things seemed a little bit rearranged, if not wholly new. There's a couple rooms that stood out to me that seemed wholly new. So I always like seeing that. That's always cool. People kind of changing, not just resting on laurels, trying to keep things fresh and interesting. And, people like my crazy butt who come every year and then come for the specials, the halfway to Halloweens, the crazy Christmas stuff, and all that other things. So trying to keep things interesting. And I imagine it's probably helpful to the people who work there too. The people who work there year after year. It's nice to have things a little bit different. It's nice to change things up a little bit. Because, don't get kind of stagnant. And again, for, the people who work there and the people who come frequently, it's nice to change it up, nice to break the stagnation, nice to kind of be like, oh, well, maybe what's going to be different this time? It kind of gives you stuff to look out for and everything else like that. Haunted Schoolhouse and the Laboratory, which I think are owned by the same people, has done that a lot in the last few years. Really done a good job, too, of manipulating the environment differently, changing up the spaces, and doing a lot of things like that. So a lot of people out and about keeping track of things, making sure, excuse me, I'm so sorry, making sure things are running correctly, making sure people are, running the lines the way they're supposed to. Not lines in terms of the acting, but lines in terms of the actual lines, the cues. And so, yeah, it's a pretty spot on organization. They're looks like they're doing a lot to put, the money back into the environment and back into the thing, which is what you got to do. You kind of got to spend a little bit in there to keep it interesting, keep it fresh. Again, I think this is the 28th year for this place. Haunted Schoolhouse is in the 40s, I think, which is awesome. So yeah, if they keep on changing and keep things fresh and keep kind of working with the space that they have and in the creative ways that they have done, then they'll be able to keep going for that. And then to still have the people in it and working it who are having fun with it. Yeah, they got the people who are doing the jump scares and growling and all that. That's going to be standard. And that has its place in it too. But having people who are playing around and doing creative and fun things with it. And it seems like they're having fun with things and everything to it. And able to, I don't want to say improv scenes, because I'm not putting myself in the scene or any of that other nonsense with it. But I like to play around with it. Maybe it's just because I go to so many of these that it's sort of like it's the next stage of kind of what I need to do to have fun with it. I don't know. But I mean, I kind of always did. So if they're going to say something and I'll say something and they can kind of banter a little bit, I like that. Or, deal with the weird ways I respond to things. I recognize that the way I respond to a lot of things is not the way a lot of normal people do. Something might be looked really messed up. I'm like, holy crap, that's cool. And then there's been times in some places where I've heard like clearly I was not supposed to respond the way I did. And I did because I'm going to, because that's the kind of chap that I am. But I do appreciate the work that people did, and I do appreciate the work that people do to try and keep things interesting and fun. I don't really know anyone's names in this one. I know a couple other people in the Forest of Screams, Seven Floors of Hell sort of family. I know been meeting a few more people with that. But, it's fun. It's good. So if you get a chance, if you can deal with the fact that part of 77's closed, if you're coming from Cleveland or the north. But if, you're within a driving distance of Canton, I definitely still recommend Factory of Terror. Again, a relatively newer in terms of the general things that I go to. Relatively newer for me. I think I learned about it I knew about it for a while. I think the first time I came to it was 2017 when they had this Krampusnacht sort of thing with it. And then 2018, I actually came for the Halloween part. So relatively new for me. I wanted to get this in now and early. This is like the very beginning of the season. And part of that is because I don't know what I'm going to be able to do in terms of these videos. With the way my employment situation has been this year, things are really kind of up in the air whether or not I'll be able to do any of these. Part of that might be because maybe, possibly, maybe, almost, maybe I might be working one. So I don't know if I'll be able to make any content regarding, behind the scenes stuff with that. Or if it's just sort of, I just got to kind of shut most of this down for the season. Maybe I'll get a night off or two to go to something. There's a couple of them. Forest of Scream, 7 Floors, definitely want to hit those. If nothing else, they're perennially things that I go to. Forest of Scream is relatively new, but perennially things that I go to and have fun with. And like I said, I've been meeting the people there, and they've been really cool to me, and had good conversations with them, Mr. Inc. and people like that. So, I enjoy that. And supporting people who seem to be pretty cool overall, or at least have been, at the very least, cool to me. And they put out a cool product. So I want to support that. I was hoping to go to a couple places that maybe I've either only been to once or have never been to before, or if I have been to before, it was ages and ages ago and I don't quite remember. So yeah, the plan was for this season to really go all out, hit all the places I usually do, and hit a few places that I've been to maybe once, and a couple places I've never been to. That was the plan. It is not looking like that is probably going to be something I'm going to be able to execute this year, at least. Hopefully next year might be a little bit different. Who knows in this day and age? Next year, we might all have, third impact has happened and we've all turned into orange tang, and we've seen a giant blue-haired girl, and we've all become one with each other, and singular consciousness has solidified. Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, so I will, if whatever I can get to this year, in terms of time, in terms of whatever's going on with my employment, whatever's going on with my funds and things like that, whatever I can get to, I will get to. And you'll know a little bit after I do. So yeah, so that's my review for 2021 at Factory of Terror in Canton. I enjoyed it. There was new stuff. They played around with the environment, and the people were real cool. So I'm going to have another sort of gurgle of tea and then be on my way home. I appreciate you all for watching. Those who are just sort of watching and run around the haunted houses, and those of you who work at and participate with the haunted houses, who support the channel and all that stuff too. Thank you all very much. I genuinely am grateful and thankful for that. And see you around. Happy hauntings, everybody. Good night.